Don't panic.
For it is time for more Manic Miners. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and...
Don't panic.
Although you probably should, because I'm not going to do very well at this, but I will do my best. Right, it is time to play some more of this game. So what 3 levels have we got to choose from?
Waterworks.
That's the one where you start on the island in the corner and have to work your way out, isn't it? Sorry, I'm prepping a bit of paper for later.
Rock hard.
That one's going to be fun on a bun, because I'm sure they'll put the slugs in it.
Don't panic.
Oh my goodness, I'm stuck between the devil, the deep blue sea, and whatever the third option is. Blimey. Alright, let's get on with it, shall we?
Don't panic. Some of our rock raiders have been trapped by recent cave-ins, and molten magma is threatening to engulf them. We cannot risk teleporting them out. Another malfunction could place them in even greater danger. Guide them back to the safety of Rock Raiders HQ. Once you've got them back safely, continue the mining operation and collect 20 energy crystals.
Is that the first time we've actually maintained the original number? That's interesting. That's, I'm not even going to go there. Right! Run! Run away! This music is not as intense as perhaps it should be. Oh my goodness gracious, I am here. Which is a bad thing. Blimey. Blimey. Well, that's good, because we've got at least one guy who can see ahead. Despite being frightfully short-sighted. Right! Here are some lovely gentlemen, or possibly ladies. I have absolutely no idea how to tell the difference, and I really do not want to look in an area which might provide me with information as to the answer to that question. Oh, alright. Hello, friend. We have found a small mobile laser cutter. Interesting. On a different island. Which presumably is going to be integral to the, continuation of the of the survival of these chaps over here. Interesting. The lava's not going to be able to get to that through the well, both through the water and through the hill, I would imagine. Right, if you just run the... What the hell is that? My goodness gracious! I'd actually happily, peacefully, cheerily, joyously forgotten all about the frickin' massive monsters. But no, of course there was more. Of course there were to be more. Lovely. Right, okay. This is so pointless, but do that one instead. Because then they could actually join up. And actually, no, you don't need to do that, do you? You don't need to do anything at all, because, there we are. We've already opened up a pathway. Tremendous. Right. Oh, golly. He's awake, like. Oh, blimey. Oh, blimey. That animation doesn't quite work. But never mind. Oh, I am sure that they will, all of these walls will have monsters jump out, and then they'll eat these crystals. I am going to do something. I don't know why they're not trying to pick them up, but I never thought I'd say this, but I'm actually just going to let it happen. As much as it will break my little heart, I'm just going to let them have the crystals and run away, because there's absolutely nothing I can do to save them. If I try to pick them up, I will just die in the lava, and that will be it. So I'm frightfully sorry, but those crystals are gone, and they're not coming back. And I have a really bad freaking feeling I might have gone the wrong way. Oh, blimey, guys, keep running! This is not easy to keep up with these two at the same time, and it's going uphill. Oh, blimey.
Now collect 20 energy crystals.
Well, that's grand and all, but what about these poor souls over here? Oh, blimey. Oh, blimey. Ah, slugs. Ah, this is bad news. Okay. Could we please not all die? Okay, what am I gonna do? I have absolutely no idea. They're all going to die. Okay. Think, Phil, think. Right, you need to get out of that and start doing something with your life other than just standing around like a dingus. And I need to... Oh, blimey. Oh, no.
safely and collect the 20 energy crystals we need. Mission failed.
I had no idea there were death messages. I had no idea. Right, okay, this tells you, right, and this is not me trying to toot my own horn here. This is just me stating a case of fact, right? It has been so long that I've been playing Rock Raiders that I've been reasonably, functionally, survivably good at it that I've not bollocked up that badly. In so long, I had no idea that there were failure messages. Right. Should we try this again? Blimey. Okay. Hold. Oh, it's already marked to follow them. That's a nice touch. Right. We know roughly where we're going this time. So what we need to do is do that again, but this time take the left route, not the right route. Which there's a joke I could make at that point, but I'm not going to, because that's just going to get me in trouble. So, I'm wondering actually if I can... Can I? Maybe I can, maybe I can't. I'm wondering if I can get away with actually leaving the small mobile laser cutter there and coming back for it later. And if that might actually be a better idea than having it join up with the rest of the men, because that might give me one less thing to focus on. It's interesting that the essential people can die. I find that very interesting because I was under the impression that if something was essential, it couldn't be destroyed. It was invincible. So, oh, they are actually walking in a path which takes them away from the lava. I thought they'd actually walk directly over these squares because it would be the shortest possible route. So, that's very interesting that they're actually sensible enough to not worry about doing that. That's good. I approve of that. Right. Every single person can run over there and get that. Unfortunately, this means we're going to have to go through the pain, the torment, the misery, and the sorrow of watching all of these crystals get devoured all over again. But never mind. It doesn't matter. I'm sure there are at least 24 crystals in this level, so we'll just have to live with that miserable sorry fact. Right, at least this means that the, at least this means, well, it sort of means that we're going to go the wrong freaking way. Right, I'm gonna have to force the issue here. Right, yep, just wave your arms in the air like you just don't care, because you don't care about the fact that these monsters are trying to kill you. No, no, no! I don't need to hear that again. Thank you very much. That didn't happen last time. Yes, I know. It's alright. They're already in great danger. They've already died 6 times and we've resurrected them and gone back in time and started again. My goodness. I said I wasn't going to do very well at this. I didn't think I was going to do quite this badly. Blimey, it's so annoying when the monsters are there and they're making them run around in a chaotic fashion, because with the ruddy speed of the erosion of the lava, which I'm not going to put down, as much as I really want to put it down, I'm not going to put it down. I really want to do this properly and correctly and not bugger it up completely. It is useful having the small mobile laser cutter there, because actually we haven't got any crystals, so we can't actually spend it. Here we go. I didn't really speed things up, but maybe by a second or two. Yeah, it is sort of useful having the small mobile laser cutter there, because it can travel ahead and do the drilling without having to worry about the men being slowed down by that, so to a certain degree it does make them ever so slightly faster. But, still a right little jam that we're left in it. Oh, blimey. I mean, I get cold at night sometimes too, but you don't see me sleeping in a lake of fire. Oh, blimey. That's a freaking scary image, no mistake. Right. I don't know, well, maybe I was going to say I don't know why it didn't happen like that the first time. Maybe it didn't happen like that the first time because I sent them off to sent the men off to the right hand side, so maybe that's where the distinction came in. But right, immediately set them to run straight over there and hopefully get over there that much quicker before the monsters kill them. I was curious, even the vehicle tries to avoid the rubble, even though the vehicle isn't slowed down by the rubble, and the men don't try to avoid the rubble, despite the fact that would be a very sensible thing for them to do. Right, can we please get down there before the monsters catch us? There we go. Right, now we're not going to look at the horrors in front of us, we're just going to focus happily and blindly on other things. Right. Let's run down here as quick as we can. Don't look, don't look, don't look, don't look. If you don't look at it, then it might not be really happening, and we can pretend like everything's fine. Right. I think now that the moment of chaos has passed, at least briefly, we can calm down. Yes, if you stay properly ahead of them, then the lava's not too much to worry about. Huzzah and hooray! Right, everybody get over here. That includes you. Right, now we've got to worry about our oxygen supply. Blimey. Okay. Do you guys have shovels? No, you don't. You'd best get those. Okay. Let's all just relax. We've got through what is hopefully the worst part. Now all we need to do is worry. Look! The water reservoir is spilling into the lava below. Oh, that was really cool, except I barely saw it because I was too busy nattering on about utter rubbish. Okay, that was cool. I was too busy worrying about him going all that way down there. Okay, right. My goodness gracious. Sorry, I need to give you a bit of a sit-rep as to where I am, sort of, in life at the moment, because it's affecting me and my ability to make this video. So, right at this moment, there is a small, furry cat who has decided to sit on my lap, which is lovely and all, except, unfortunately, she's also decided that now would be a tremendous time to release all of her gas. So, yeah. Let's all be grateful that YouTube and microphones in general do not communicate smells, because if they did, my goodness, I'd probably get arrested. Okay, right, never mind any of that. You don't have to worry about that. I'm just gonna pretend like it's not happening. Okay, we could maybe put the power station there. Do you think I could get away with that? Yes, I think I could. So let's put some power path here, and then we can have our support station and our teleport pad over here. Right, okay. Because there's not really much else for this this to do. We might as well just set it to mine a bit of hard rock, even though it doesn't really look like there's anything much behind it. Right. Relax. The worst part is over. The battle has been won. Now we just need to worry about the rest of the war. So, just plonk that there. And take a breath. My goodness. Yes, as I was saying before, I thought if a person was essential that they couldn't die. You can't choose to remove them. You can't beam them back to the LMS Explorer, as I won't be able to do with this vehicle or with any of these men, but I didn't know that it was actually possible for them to be killed. So that is very interesting, because that means that it gives a new, well, I was going to say a new way of failing levels. I thought the only way of failing levels was, in fact, I was going to say I thought the only way of failing a level was to run out of oxygen, which is an obvious way of failing a level, but I am trying to remember if when that happened. I'm pretty sure when that happens everyone gets beamed out automatically, but I didn't think there was any kind of a message that came up to say that you'd failed the level, which means there's all sorts of lines of dialogue from the chief that I've either never heard or have not heard for a great many years indeed, which is all very interesting. Right, they're all getting on with other things which they think are more important, but I cannot stress enough are not. there is nothing more important than oxygen. As much as these little Maltesers look truly delicious, I'd rather you lot could breathe. Right, let's upgrade that and get that popped there, and there's already a few bits of ore right there that they can just plonk in. And then we can get on with our lives, or more specifically, our deaths. This, water taking over the lava is very interesting. That's presumably to allow you to come across here and maybe mine out the back end of here, and cut through here, maybe come along this corridor and access some other bits and pieces, because I don't know if we're going to end up with enough crystals to, or enough physical real estate to, Strike Special should probably give these people guns, actually. That would probably be a sensible thing to do, wouldn't it? As soon as we get some oxygen in this place, I'll get that on my list of jobs. What was I talking about? Oh yes, I'll probably get if we can, a tunnel transport and large mobile laser cutter. As much as that is a common refrain for me in this series, I do think that's probably the best tactic for the time being. Let me go back to my job of doing other people's jobs for them, because they're too busy doing other things because of how I've set up the priority menu. Right. I know people say the small mobile laser cutter is an ineffective way of mining hard rock, but my goodness. I'd forgotten it was quite that bad, mainly because I just never used it, probably because it was that bad after I tried it once. Right, let us pop this there. There we go. And you might as well do that. It'll give you something to do. Oh my goodness. This is quite a significant departure to the formation of the real level, which I think is relatively similar until about here, where you sort of snake around, and then I think the base is round about here. And there's also a long snaking pathway that you can take, which sort of shoots off here, which is a little bit similar to this, but I think it started a little bit earlier, and will sort of lead you up, and then you could come all the way down a nice straight line to get a slightly more direct route to base camp, which is nice. It strikes me actually, the fact that we haven't been over here means that we haven't found, was it Dox and Axel, who had that truck, who are just sitting there with nothing to do at the moment, which is interesting, and hopefully they don't do anything, because if they bust their way through here, they're going to find a lot of lava, and a lot of death, and not a lot of laughter. Right. Oxygen has been found. Tremendous. Right, let's bring down some more peeps. How many peeps do we currently have? Someone's saying it's too many and not enough. Right. Well, oh, huzzah! I didn't even realise that we'd got anywhere near that number of crystals. Right. Well, that's that. But I feel like there's a lot more to be done. Right. Let's get everybody together for a moment and give everybody a gun, because I have a horrible feeling. A horrible feeling that there's going to be a lot of monsters that we need to deal with. Now that we've seen a freaking massive lava monster, which, my goodness, I thought Halloween was over. I thought the jump scares had passed, but apparently not. Alright, we've got free reign to do whatever the hell we want with crystals now, which is a grand thing. So, could I, not you doofus, could I put a super pad about here? It really doesn't want to go there. Is it because of you? Are you in the way? Is that stopping me sort of hovering over a very specific piece of land I need to be on? Quite possibly, yes. Right. Let's have another piece of path, please. And then we'll put it along here, and we'll just have this nice sort of promenade of buildings. Right. Sorry, my phone is flashing a light. Let me turn that round so I can't get distracted anymore. Okay. We passed the level. It doesn't matter what happens now, presumably. Presumably now, even if essential vehicles or people die, the mission doesn't fail because we've passed the objective, and if everybody beamed out now, the chief would presumably be happy and not give me a failing grade on my report card. Okay, so we need 3 crystals for this. And then we'd need 18? Is it 8 or 6 for the large mobile laser cutter? I never can remember. It's 8. Okay, so we'd need 18, which is which would leave us 1 short, and that's without yeah, and that's without worrying about power and things. Right, that is interesting and irritating to a certain degree, because that suggests perhaps they want me to take a different tactic, especially with how flat that piece of land is there. It's really making me wonder if can you really shoot that far without draining crystals? Yes, you can. Only just, though, which is a bit worrying, because I just realised we do have a recharge team. What am I worrying about? The answer to that is nothing that's worth worrying about. Right. Do we want to get a docks and a rapid rider and take it across the river and mine out this and see if we find anything inside? Did we actually see anything in here? No. Oh, it's eroding in this direction. It's eroding quite slowly, but it is eroding. Right, that is interesting. That's interesting, because that means I could potentially lose this land if I'm not proper quick about this. So I don't think I've got a hell of a lot of choice. I think I'm going to have to build the docks, because I don't have enough crystals at the moment. Unless the small mobile laser cutter can magically find quite a few more in this bit of hard rock and these strips and drabs we've got here. If I could just find a few over here and then bring them back, then things might be different. But we shall have to wait and see what happens. So I don't really know why I'm even bothering to do this now, because I could actually use dynamite. There we go. You might as well come over here and get out and have a sandwich, because at that point you're not being very effective. Right, okay, let me bring down a rapid rider and find somebody to get in it. Ideally somebody who's not who's going to need to get trained.
Less rubble, less trouble.
Yes, right now, mate, I'm a bit more worried about less lava, really. Yeah, that's You're cute. You're daft, but you're cute. It's, please tell me there are crystals there. Actually, I don't think there were, otherwise I would have seen them when the small mobile laser cutter was drilling these out. So, really, this is a big old waste of my time. Great! Brilliant! I've fouled up again. Right. Okay, this is less than optimal. What am I going to do? The answer to that is I'm going to beam that up, and I'm going to beam that up, and I'm going to hope that isn't the Rapid Rider 2 crystals? Yes, it is. Where did the other one go then? That's a bit of a worry. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm frightened that we've lost one. Oh dear. Right. Why is nobody finishing that job there? Don't leave a job half finished. That's as bad as not doing it at all. I think somebody once said. I mean, I certainly said it just then, as much as it was far from quotably intelligent. Oh, come on. We might be able to get by with what we've got set up right now, but I somehow doubt it. Right, let's get a tunnel transport, because that will definitely be useful. Boing! Yeah, we should be able to access these bits here. So that might bring us another couple of crystals. Although saying that, we can probably just squeeze by if we're very careful. Yep, nothing there at all. What about here? Come on, please! Hooray! I don't like leaving the place with no crystals. Right. We'd like to unload, and then we can pick up the large mobile laser cutter, and then have a bit of an explore and see what we find. Okay, where shall we go first? Let's go... Oh, that's interesting. If you were super lickety-split quick, do you think you could reach that and then I don't want to do no. Oh, blimey and crikey, we're in a bit of a pickle. Okay. This is a Fright jam, by which I do not refer to the delicious type that you spread on your toast. I refer to the sort of disastrous type that makes me look like a right Wally. Right. That... I was going to say that was interesting. No, that's not quite the word I would employ. I would employ a word like humiliating. Yes, I think that's a better word. Alright. First, I'm going to make a impenetrable perimeter. An impronounceable perimeter as well, to give us a certain level of defense. I might build us a mining laser as well to act as a turret. And then I'm going to have to rethink my strategy completely. And the first thing I'm going to rethink is to go the opposite direction and pray that nothing goes quite as badly as it just did. I'm thinking the best strategy is to attack from afar, so to speak. Because if I shoot... If I find how far away I can be safely, yeah, sort of without that happening is sort of what I mean, then maybe I can shoot from a distance and there we go. And then take out the walls before they actually have an opportunity to spawn from them. Ah, look, I don't actually have any crystals. You don't have enough crystals to make that shot. Collect some more crystals or recharge them. Yes, indeed. That would be a good thing to do, wouldn't it? Do we have any spent crystals that are sat around? Not that I can see, although it did let me make one shot, didn't it? Which sort of suggests that it was. Do we have any, Oh, you can't dispense drained crystals. That's interesting. Right, okay. This is going to be rather difficult. Can I actually shoot from here? The answer to that is probably no. Oh, blimey. This is going to take a long time. I enjoyed watching your death. It brought joy to the cold rock that exists within my chest. Oh, blimey. Maybe I should take a different tactic. Maybe I should take a tactic of sort of letting the monsters spawn. Because so long as only one of them comes at a time, then the fence will deal with them. Because they're not strong enough to survive the fence, and we've got the men there that can do battle. So I'm not tremendously worried, whilst simultaneously being utterly terrified at the same time, if that's physically possible. Yeah, I think I need to do this quite slowly and sort of make gentle inroads towards my objective, rather than trying to charge in and causing a whole battalion of beasts to bust forth. Right, I was going to say, shall I drop off the large mobile laser cutter there and leave it? I have since decided against that decision. So any of the mind readers in the audience might possibly be able to guess why, but we shan't get into the nitty-gritty details of all that rubbish. What am I going to do? I think I'm going to hope that it's not going to go any further than that line. Yeah, that seems optimistically stupid. Or stupidly optimistic. Yep, there we go. Right, okay, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I don't really know. What? Oh, that's a load of ore. Sorry, I keep forgetting the fact that the ore actually appears as green dots on here. Right, there we are. Okay, that is good enough for me. I think the laser cutter will be able to survive here for at least a while. So what I'll do is I'll blast open these. There we are. Then I'll turn you round and drop off the large mobile laser cutter. And then I'll leave the tunnel transporter, collect the crystals, and bring them home. It strikes me I should probably make sure that there's no monsters about to spawn, otherwise they'll all stampede up here and eat every crystal that they can see, which is quite a number. If we get enough crystals back home, we might be able to bring down another tunnel transport, and then that could speed things up a little bit. Right. I mean, it doesn't strictly matter if the crystals just sit in the lava, and it doesn't seem like it's eroding up here, which is all fine and dandy. But yeah, we might be all right. Or we might be completely screwed. Yep. I'm coming down on the we're completely screwed side of things. Right, can I shoot these rocks? Because again, I want to try and get rid of anything that could possibly spawn a monster. Right, sorry. Let me make the radar track the laser cutter again. Okay, so we've done everything around here. There's a little patch there that needs doing. I don't know if I'll be able to get there and shoot it, but I shall give it a damn good try. Yeah, I think we might just about squeeze through. Boop. There we go. Right. Bloody hell, look at that. It's almost instantaneous, and that's all on standard settings, for crying out loud. Right, I'm going to coax you over into the corner here. How many more crystals do we have? So there's that 4 and that 4, so we need to wait for the tunnel transport to make another 2 trips. We've got enough to make a second tunnel transport now, actually, haven't we? So that would be, I think, a wise investment. Right. There we go. Is it going to erode up here? I know it doesn't typically erode up hills, but we did see it erode these pieces here, which are pretty damn gradiated. So, if that's even a word, which I'm pretty sure it's not, but we'll pretend like it definitely is. Right, do you mind, please? I know the other one's coming to get that crystal, but I need the other one for a completely different job. Okay. The first thrust of our attack did not go tremendously badly. It went quite badly. But, you know, in a world such as this, you have to take what you can get. Yeah, look, and it went up there as well, and that's very steep indeed. That's a very steep incline. That looks like, what, about 30 degrees or so. So that's by no means a shallow line. So it's not a fixed rule, to carry on the discussion we were having last time about lava being able to move up hills and up gradients and things. It can do that if it wants to, but seemingly it respects the hill most of the time, just not all of the time. Okay, let's see what else we've got. So we've got this little bit of land around here, which is going to be really quite dangerous because that's where all of the monsters spawned. But we also had lots of monsters spawn out here, so I'm quite eager to get that sorted out. So, my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's probably close enough. I don't want to risk going any further than that. I imagine it's programmed, with my very vague recollection of having a poke around in the level editor once, that it's programmed to have like a square which acts as almost like a kind of pressure plate, I suppose, that when a person or a vehicle reaches that location, it then triggers a certain event which can be linked to monsters spawning. I don't think any monsters spawned out of this right-hand side wall here, so we might be all right to get a little bit closer to this. We might just make it. Or a million monsters might spawn and entirely eat my face. You know, the possibilities when it comes to video games are endless. Apart from the possibility of me winning and looking very intelligent. That one's non-existent. Never mind. Never mind. Right, What's that? What was that? What got beamed up? Nobody important, presumably. I'm going to get rid of that because it's worrying me. What got beamed up? Bloody hell, would you look at that piece? My goodness. That's not 30 degrees. That's very, very steep. My goodness gracious. Alright, What else have we got around here? There's a couple pieces over here. What? Go over there and drill that. I see. I see, so when it's carrying the large mobile laser cutter, it really does treat it as a completely independent body. It's, it doesn't then give the computer the impression that the tunnel transport is able to drill things. Because it won't let me sort of queue that up as a job. I have to do that quite manually. Interesting. Right, we could go that way, but I don't actually. There are a few bits here we could have a look at. I'm just worried about going that way because the moment we do that, of course, we're the moment we do that, we're going to have the lava pursuing up the land, and my hope. Oh, no. Right, I need to think about this. I need to think about this and genuinely be intelligent for a moment here. Well, the cat tries to bite my hand. Thank you, babe. That's very, very supportive of you. Right, so, if I remember correctly, there was Axel in a truck, and there was Docs next to him, along with a slug. And the slug went off to his hole, and he escaped, and that was fine. So apparently I'm in the slug rescuing business after last time. So my thought is, I need to pick up Axel in the truck and take him away, because the whole area of land got eroded very quickly. So there's no safe space for them. I need to pick them up in their vehicle and take them away in a tunnel transport immediately, the moment we open the door. Now the problem is that I need to open the door by knocking down a wall, and I do that by shooting it with the large mobile laser cutter. Which means it's already carrying a vehicle, and there's nowhere safe really I could put it. Well, I guess I could drop it down in one of these little spots, sort of shoot it and then drop it on here, because that's not going to get eroded, it looks like. The fact that I've got a second tunnel transport is a good thing, because that means I can get one guy away immediately. But then what am I going to do about Docs, because there's no vehicle there to pick him up in, and I can't pick him up on his own. Maybe in that case it's a good thing that I have the small mobile laser cutter, because I could drop that down, Docs could get in it, and then I could pick it up and take it away. In fact, actually, once it's up in the air, that's it, I can stop worrying about it. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is realise actually that looking at the map here, there's nothing to do because these bits of walls don't actually go anywhere because there's just solid rock behind them. Right, okay, so we are going through here. Okay, good. Glad we realised that before I looked like a proper Wally. Right. So what we need to do, here's the plan of action. Here's how I want it to go, and then you can observe as it goes a very different way. What I need to do is knock down the wall with the large mobile laser cutter, scoot the tunnel transport in, drop off the small mobile laser cutter and get Docs in it, and then pick up Docs in the small mobile laser cutter so he's in the air and he's safe from the lava. At the same time, I'm going to try and send Axel off to the other end of the cavern so that he's a bit further away from the lava and buy him a few seconds. I then need to get the large mobile laser cutter dropped off in a safe space, probably somewhere here where this rubble is, because it's not going to be able to get back to base that quickly, which will then free up the tunnel transport to pick up Axel in the truck. We can then take Docs and Axel back to base, drop them off, they'll be safe, and then we can come back with the large mobile laser cutter. Okay, that's the plan. Watch as it goes completely wrong. Where's the correct one? Here we go. Right. Oh, hang on, wait. Hold your horses. Hold on to your tunnel transports, because it hasn't happened quite yet. Bloody hell! That spreads like a freaking virus through the land. My goodness. Right, okay. Hold on to your hats. Here we go again. Except that one of them's in the wrong place. I can barely see what's freaking going on. Okay. Okay. Not yet. Hold. I feel like the captain of a ship telling his crew to hold as they wait for the enemy ships to get closer and closer before firing off the cannons. Just hold. Steady as she goes. Wait. Okay. We're nearly there. Okay. Shoot. Okay, right, now move. Move thine arse. Okay, right. You need to move your arse a hell of a lot faster than you're doing. Okay, right. You need to drop that down. You need to get in there. Get in there. Get in there. Get in it. Get in it now. Get in it now. No, 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 no! Well, it's fascinating that it beams around like that, but it's not a lot of frickin' use to me, is it? Oh, blimey! Well, he's not... It's... Well, hire me to predict your lottery numbers because I said it'd go badly, and it did. Oh, blimey. That lava is so frickin' fast. It's unbelievable. Right, well, everyone's dead, and your bucket is missing, which is weird. And now it's back, which is good. Oh, blimey. Well, we've learned that if a vehicle is essential and you pass the level, it can then be destroyed because frickin' reasons. I don't know. I ain't got explanations. I tried to come up with a plan and a strategy, but it just didn't work because the lava moved so frickin' fast and the tunnel transports are so big. The models kept getting in the way and I couldn't click on the right things quick enough and I was too slow and everything went wrong and now everyone's dead and I can't even acknowledge the fact that this is real interesting to see a piece of solid rock with a reinforcement on it because of course it's not something you can physically do. So that's interesting. Just reverse a little bit. Oh bib, I screwed up completely, didn't I? I'm very sorry about that. Right, let's see if we can find a couple more crystals so that we can give them to the family of Docs and Axel, who, whomst I shall have to write a letter to as their commanding officer to apologise for my utter strategic foul-up which led to the death of their loved ones. Oh, blimey, how am I going to break the news to Sparks back home? Right, never mind any of that. Goodness gracious. I know it's only a daft game, but my goodness, I take a certain degree of pride in being vaguely good at this game, and my goodness, did that go really, really freaking badly. I mean, look at that. Those tiles are getting eaten in a second. Blimey. It is interesting to see that it's able to alter the erosion rate within a mission on top of the sorry, Bib, I need to move my knees. You're cutting off the circulation to the lower part of my leg. Yeah, that it can alter the. Would you scoot your arse back a little bit? Thank you very much. Here we are. I mean, look at that. That couldn't be going faster if it bloody tried, and I'm sure that it is. Alright, fine. I'm not going to worry about those bits there. I'm not fussed. I'll just see if I can drill out these little bits along here, just in case there's any final crystals, which there probably aren't. But I would like to. I would like to be sure. Right. That was so bad. That's genuinely rattled me. That was so bad. I've never ever liked how lava erodes, and that's not to say that there's anything wrong with the game or anything bad about the game, by no means whatsoever. It's just the fact that I physically don't like it because it all happens so quickly and it's just gone forever and there's no way of fixing it afterwards. You know, it's like when a monster eats a crystal. That's just it. It's over. It's gone. There's no way of getting it back. It's finished. You just have to accept it and move on with your life. There's no way of bringing it back. You know, if a monster destroys a building, then the resources are still there on the ground. You can pick them up, you can store them again, you can rebuild, you can fix it. But But then when there are more permanent losses that, say, restarting a level, there's no way of bringing them back. You know, that hits a little bit harder, especially when what you've lost is people. But never mind. We've nearly got to the end of this. My goodness! And I thought I was doing badly when it was just the lava catching me. Ugh, I think my strategy was sound. I think it was just the execution was not good enough because it wasn't fast enough. No crystals anywhere. Why did I frickin' bother? Right. Can we please leave this awful memory behind? I think I've had enough of this.
All 20 energy crystals were collected and your rescue plan was great. Mission complete.
I'm sorry. What? You unlocked the Ghost Shroud. You have lost and accumulated 25 miners. Bad luck, but you get a reward. Manage the crew from the main menu. Sweet. I'm sorry. What? What are you talking about? Oh my goodness, that's real interesting. Okay, what have we unlocked?
Split down the middle.
Blimey, that was going to be fun. This isn't going to be freaking lava in it. Okay, that's going to be very interesting. Okay, let's take somebody then. Some random person, and see if we can turn them into a little ghost. I turn somebody into a little ghost. How do I presumably that's a thing I need to buy. There've been seems to have been lots of new stuff added, which I haven't seen before. Where's the ghost bit? Where's the ghost bit? I can't find the ghost bit. I can't find it at all. Have I just unlocked it, sort of, you know, like fully and completely? Who was I on before him? Has it just been unlocked here in the thing for me to use? Because I can't seem to see the bloody thing. Where is it? I see it not. I see it not. That's not it, is it? No, that's a piece of body armor, which, to be honest with you, they probably need, but they're not going to get. Because that's hats. Well, mind you, some of the hats do sort of go down over the body as well, so maybe it would be considered a hat rather than anything else. Here it is. Oh my goodness gracious, it's translucent. That's slightly terrifying. Oh my goodness. I don't know where I got this from either, but I've got it, and the Brickster's keeping it. Okay, I don't really remember what the old Lego Ghosts used to look like, so we'll take a short break while I try to recuperate my pride, and what I'll do is I'll see if I can find a picture of one of the old Lego Ghosts, see if I can make this guy look as similar as possible to it, and then he can be a member of our crew in the next mission, and then we can try and you know, not completely screw up as much as I just did. So, you know, we shall. I shall do my best. I'm sure I'll fail all over again, but I'll do my best. Right. It has been prepared, and you shall see it. I was trying to change the order of the people, so I could try to determine who would come down first and who would come down later, so that the person would come down in the first 5, but I don't seem to be able to find a way of doing that, so we might have to wait until we get the support station, and we can bring down all 10 people, but we shall have to wait and see for that. Right! Anyway, because the first level of this video went so brilliantly, let's do another one, which is probably going to be really bloody difficult due to slugs.
We have located a cave that is rich with energy crystal seams and ore deposits. Unfortunately, the cave is too small for large drilling vehicles, and hard rock is blocking our progress.
Damn it.
Positioning our buildings will be critical, as there is hardly any floor space. Once you have established the Rock Raiders HQ, train a Rock Raider to use dynamite and collect 20 energy crystals.
Alright. Fair enough. Again, I'm sure I've commented on it before, but I do find it amusing how he says there is hardly any floor space. Right. All of you lot can go away. Oh, they've added extra ore seams. That's interesting. Interesting. Most interesting indeed. Right. That was very quiet. Right, we have me! We have the Brickster. His funny little face. Might as well get a couple little jobs going to keep them out of the way if nothing else. Right, we have sparks. Excellent. Good. He's got his visor down. He's got his down, which is cute. And we've got jet. Tremendous. People that I'm not even paying any attention. Number 5. We've got Axel. Good. Okay, right. So we're going to have to wait until we've got our support station before I can show you what I have put together. No pun intended. But all right. Okay. This level's going to be really interesting because my experience of playing this level in the base game is a slightly inconsistent one, because most of the time I would play this level and there'd be no slugs in it. There'd be monsters, but there wouldn't be slugs. And then this also seems more narrow than it used to be. I wonder if they've done that on purpose, because it wasn't tremendously narrow the first time round. Yes, sometimes there'd be slugs and sometimes there wouldn't be slugs, which I always found quite curious. But I'm sure there will be slugs this time around. I'm absolutely certain of it. And we've got very, very little air, so we really don't have time to dilly, to dally, or to dawdle. I'm wondering if I should reposition this rather than waste stuff upgrading it. What I'm actually going to do, which is probably a really frickin' stupid plan, is I'm actually going to put it here, at least. Is that really dumb? That is really dumb, isn't it? Because it's just going to put it that much closer to a load of slugs, who are then going to try and eat it. So, yeah. That's a dumb thing to do, so I'm not going to do that. Because I'm not dumb. I am, in fact, most clever. I do the cleverness all of the time, and never do the stupid, ever. Right, he's putting his hand on the wrong part of the keyboard, pressing all the wrong buttons and looking like a grade A dingleberry. Right, okay, so the power station could go there, so we need to get rid of that. And then we can, no, wait, hang on. Oh, don't do the stupid, he says, immediately being really stupid. No, sorry, there was supposed to be a power path there, so that the piece of square path could go there. Right, okay, that's me being an idiot again. Right, let's put a piece of power path. Actually, we could just put a piece of power path there for the time being, couldn't we? Yeah, there we are, because that'll give me one less thing I can screw up. Right, okay. We've got enough crystals to get the oxygen situation going. Then we'll give folks guns, we'll bring down our other 5 men, we'll set up some electric fence, and we will survive. Somehow. Okay, I was actually going to put the support station there, but I've actually just changed my mind and I'm going to put it there instead. Because if I put a building there and a building there, I'm not going to be able to put a super teleport pad in here, because there'll be nowhere to put the power path. But instead, what I could do is I could put my support station here. Let me just set that up now. There we go. Then I could put a piece of power path here, and then put, say, an upgrade station here, for example, or a mining laser. And then I could use this piece here to put down a piece of power path in order to manufacture a super teleport pad there. As much as they said don't use big vehicles, they're not actually stopping me from using big vehicles or bringing down a super teleport pad. So we probably can get through, because it's not like you actually need 2 squares wide. As much as it probably should need 2 squares wide, you don't need actually 2 squares wide to actually move a large vehicle. So I think we'll get by. Okay, we're finished on that front, so that is good. Okay, what the frickin' hell happened there? You want to explain that to me, Sonny Jim? Okay, right. While they're all having their sandwiches, let us observe what happens. Ah, it's dogs. Okay. Who's next? Bandit. Okay. Who's next? It's a generic person. Okay. Okay. Who's next? Okay, right. He went to the right end of the list. Okay. Fine. Whatever. Ooh, oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness, that is so cool. I love that. Oh yeah, I decided to call him Axel's Ghost. in memory of our dear departed brother. I thought he was standing right over there, but never mind. Never mind, I thought you might find that vaguely amusing. It's the closest thing to a joke I can make in this. So here we go. Right. Let me swap a couple of people's weapons out for Sonic Blasters. You've got a slug so on your head already, so then making you throw Sonic Blasters around seems like animal cruelty, so I'm not going to do that. Okay, let's put in a couple of bits of... Can I? Oh, I can put fence there. That's good, because I was just thinking, if I put the super teleport pad there, then how the hell am I actually going to put fence there? That's very interesting. Could I actually... Ah, I could get away with that then if I could actually build there. Ah, I thought it might get grumpy about that and say, no, you can't do that because that square's occupied. Ah, it's more intelligent than I thought it would be. Grand! It's more intelligent than I am. No bloody surprises there. Right! Never mind, none of that tomfoolery. Let's, bloody hell, the way it glows. The way it glows, it's really freaking spooky. I love it, but it's really, really spooky. Man alive. Should have done that as a, that should have been the freaking Halloween video. That's what it should have been. Okay, I'll, just give folks, other odds and ends of equipment they might need as well while we're standing around. And then we'll get on with some business, I think. Right, let's give some people some hammers as well, so they can do reinforcements if needed. Okay. The sort of troubles that we should face in this level should be slightly more handleable, if that's a word, than otherwise. Right, goodness gracious. That is so weird. I never had a ghost minifigure. I had all sorts of odds and ends of Lego over the years, but I've never actually had one of the old original Ghost minifigures. I've never had any of the newer ones either, because initially I just googled Lego Ghost and it came up with so many different things, from a Star Wars set to a dozen other different things. It's like, this isn't what I want, so I had to resort to saying classic Ghost minifigure, I think, in order to actually try and find what I was really looking for. But we got there and we found it, and that's apparently what they look like, just a white body with a black headpiece. So there we are. My goodness. I mean, it makes it easier to see at a glance. You know, there's no way you'd miss him right there. I don't know if you can make any other parts of them luminous, because of course the eyes on the slimy slug were a little bit luminous, and the visor which Jet has got is a little bit luminous. But I don't know if you can actually set that up as a thing in the color palette or not. I didn't explore too deeply into that. But right, we'll get there first in the race of the boom boom boxes, which I do not refer to the music creation devices. I really hope this doesn't open both cabins at the same time, because that's going to be a bit of a oh blimey. Okay, that's an interesting situation. We'll have to go through here, I reckon. Although we could shoot through there. Okay, before we go off and fight Mr. Sleepy Pants over here, I want to reinforce a few walls to try and minimise any of his friends and his compatriots turning up to defend their nocturnal brother. Oh my goodness. I can't believe we're probably nearing an hour into this already, and I haven't even had a moment to talk about something that I actually wanted to talk about. Because yes, shock horror, entirely through the work of somebody else, I've actually thought of something to talk about in this video, rather than just drivelling on randomly and on the fly. But no, I was sent a message by somebody who was talking about a comment I made previously in the game, talking about a bit of dialogue from the chief, which I didn't think I'd ever heard before, which therefore I was wondering if that was like extra audio files that were found in the game, sort of cut content, sort of unreleased material. and whether that was a thing or not, and essentially saying that that it probably wasn't. And what they put me onto was a very interesting video which I watched, which was all about the actual cut content from Rock Raiders, which I thought we could have a 5-minute chat about, because that seemed quite interesting and quite almost as interesting as how appalling a frame rate is. No, it'll probably fix itself. I hope it'll fix itself, because goodness knows I don't know how to fix it. This whole thing's going to go down in one go, isn't it? Which is going to be quite spectacular to watch. Oh no, of course that. Oh, of course, both of those two sides were part of one scene, weren't they? I was thinking they were two scenes, but of course they're not. Right. That would be an interesting dynamic, wouldn't it? Sort of giving you a seam like that, which you want to drill down because it will give you crystals, but then imagine if that took away your only recharge seams. So obviously I've got other ones over here, but imagine if you didn't. That would be quite an interesting dynamic. You'd have to leave it right till the end. That could be a real challenge, actually, if that was like the first few crystals that you found. You'd have to pick between, do you want to have the crystals right at the beginning, or do you want to have those crystals like right there at the beginning, or do you want to keep your recharge seams and sort of make the player make a sort of tactical choice? That could be an interesting idea for like level 1 things. Anyway, it's probably an idea that people have had years ago and already done much better than I could, which is more than acceptable to me. But anyway, no. Yes, I was watching this video which was talking about some of the cut content that was found by sort of exploring around in the game files of the base game and sort of odds and bods that people had found. And I think I briefly mentioned similar in the previous video when I was talking about the small spiders and whether in fact there was a large spider which was planned. Apparently there was a large spider planned, which was bigger and could have a spitting animation, which was supposed to apparently spit some form of a web, which was sort of never put into the game, but would perhaps have slowed your miners down, I think the video was saying, which I thought was an interesting idea. I don't know if the spiders will also have been able to sort of bite your men in order to make them a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more problematic, to the point where you would actually have to sort of get guns and try to defeat them like that. Or if, because you wouldn't be able to get rid of them just by stepping on them. Presumably, you'd have to do something a little bit more than that. One presumes. Right? Can I get a granite grinder? No. Well, I could. I could if I was sneaky. So I'm gonna try and do. Oh no! I put that down too early. I should have put down my upgrade station first. That was stupid. That was stupid. I shouldn't have done that. That was really freaking dumb. I shouldn't get rid of that either, otherwise we're going to run out of air. Right, okay. This is such a pain in my arse, and I'm going to have to put one there as well, otherwise we will run out of air. Okay, right, my goodness, I'm doing so badly at this. Yes, there was going to be a large spider in the game. Apparently it could spit webs, which would slow your men down, and presumably be a little bit harder to get rid of than the small spiders are, which you really just need to trip over in order to get rid of. Hello, I'll say hello to the people. There's no need for such language, my dear. This is a family-friendly channel, just where we constantly tell dick jokes. No. Stop being grumpy. Grumpy cat. I'm the one who's had to sit here with you farting in my lap for the last hour. If anyone is entitled to be grumpy, it's me. Go on then. Go on, get lost. Thank you. Oh, blimey. I mean, she was keeping my lab warm, so I suppose I shouldn't complain to a certain degree. Anyway, it's not the only creature that was planned into the game. Apparently, the snakes from the cutscene, sort of blue and yellow checkered snakes, were supposed to be in. They didn't seem to have much information on what they would do exactly, but presumably they would have been another sort of very minor enemy that you would have had to deal with, which I think would have been a cute idea, rather than all of the enemies being sort of very dangerous and problematic. If you could have a few sort of small, low-level enemies that could just sort of meander around in the background, being a little bit of a pain in your ass without being quite as disastrous as the main enemies of lava and monsters and slugs. So that was interesting. There was some discussion of the scorpions as well, suggesting that they might have been planned for the PC version of the game as well. I should emphasise actually that this video was focusing on the PC version. It wasn't talking about anything which was cut from the PlayStation version. I realise now I had meant to actually look up to see if the PlayStation version was released later than the PC version, because that would probably make some sense as to why some things like the scorpions were in the PlayStation version and potentially not in the PC version of the game. Yes, I do wish you lot wouldn't just waltz away like that. I do wish you'd get on with it. Actually, you're not. You're just wandering home, which is why I'd rather prefer it if you came over here and got on with a wee bit of work. Right, let's get that reinforced immediately. I think that would be best. Blimey, you don't have an hammer. You don't have an hammer. Do you have an hammer? Yes, you do have an hammer. Might as well get on with it. Yeah, it might have been the case that the PlayStation version was released slightly later than the PC version, which might explain why there was potentially slightly more in the PlayStation version with respect to, sorts of different enemies and things compared to the PC version. Although I would generally say that the PC version was, I don't know, bigger, more powerful, I don't know. In some way I feel like the PC version was more expansive, because I guess it was capable of taking advantage of the presumably slightly more powerful hardware compared to the original PlayStation, which of course did have the scorpions in, as much as I don't really remember what they did. My main memory from playing the PlayStation version is, I should say actually, the person who put me onto this video about the cut content was actually the same person who helped me set up the emulator so that we could actually play the PlayStation version on the computer without me having to actually buy a PlayStation, an original copy of the game, controllers, memory cards, all for the European version, and then do the whole thing again, buying a second set for all of the American versions, along with some sort of wild, crazy power adapter to actually run an American system on a UK power supply. Which all would have been a royal pain in the arse for the sake of making 3 videos. So I'm pretty grateful we got that emulator running instead, because that made life 100 times easier. Right. There are various different places we could go, all of which are quite scary. I want to find some more crystals, because what I really want to get is a granite grinder. I feel like that would speed things up a lot, and then after that we could maybe get a couple of trucks, but I'll have to keep a fair few people on the ground, because we'll have to have men ready to defend the base, because I've realised with how much I've packed stuff in here, there isn't really an opportunity for me to build a mining laser, is there? I mean, I could build one sort of there and here, which wouldn't be a terrible idea to have as sort of little turrets. In fact, that would be probably quite a good idea now that I think about it, but we don't really have the crystals for that, and it'll just slow us down getting the granite grinder even more. So I think we'll have to continue on foot for a little while. But yes. So the scorpions were definitely in the PlayStation version, though I don't really remember what they did. I feel as if in the PlayStation version you couldn't fight back as much, because obviously you didn't have like a tool store. You were typically just a bloke on your own trying to get around and do something. So I don't have a distinct memory of there actually being weapons that you could use to seems even the dead get hungry, and not just for souls and spooks. Right, let's have some more stuff for explosions. Yeah, we might as well explode in that direction as well. Why not? Why not, I asks thee. So yes, perhaps the scorpions would have been in the PC version of the game as well, had it had more time to be developed. again, presumably they would have done a small, relatively light attack. I can't really imagine any of the small creatures like the large spider, the snake, or the scorpions attacking any buildings, or maybe they could attack small vehicles or something, do a little bit of damage to them, things like sort of little trucks and small diggers and things like that, but I don't imagine they'd stand much of a chance against a large vehicle. So I'm not quite sure how they would have been implemented, but it's interesting to imagine and theorise on what might have been. It did answer the question, I think, which was raised. It did answer an interesting question which was raised a long time ago about, I was saying that a granite grinder's not going to be able to solve this problem, is it? Unless there's somewhere we can come at this from the arse end of it. I don't know. She's taken to sitting and washing herself on top of my briefcase now, so that's good. Never mind. Yes, it answered the question of where the canteen came from, because I remember we, question asked way back, probably in the first couple of videos we ever did on Manic Miners, which was about 4 years ago now, which is a very terrifying thing to say, but it's true, so I have to say it. Yeah, sort of where exactly the canteen came from, and sort of a few different places it could have come from. One would be obviously, you know, it coming in from the PC game and being a building, which I'm 100% sure that it wasn't. Obviously, it could have been set in the theme, because there were odds and bods that were made in the Lego models which weren't actually in the game. Like, I remember there was a sort of a Rock Raiders HQ base which had some kind of bucket on a set of rails that sort of moved stuff and then dropped it down. I vaguely remember something like that. And that obviously isn't in here. Although saying that, you've got the ore refinery, haven't you? Which is a bit like that. It's kind of got a bucket and it kind of moves it along. Yeah, maybe it was kind of a more elevated idea, which sort of then eventually turned into the ore refinery. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't really know. Another place it could potentially have come from, which before this would have been my best guess as to where it would have come from, is that back in the 90s, the late 90s, possibly into the early 2000s, I'm not exactly sure when precisely it was, but in the instruction books to some of the old Lego sets, they would include miniature comics. They certainly did this with some of the original Lego Star Wars sets, and I know they did it with the Rock Raiders sets, which, I mean, Lego Star Wars started in 99, Rock Raiders also started in 99, finishing in the following year. So I can only vaguely remember some of the little comics. I remember there's definitely one where there's a race, isn't there? Between a couple of the people who are using some vehicles that have a race. I definitely remember that one, and I seem to remember that there's a couple where Sparks either drops something on his foot or something goes wrong, and then he Grawlix is seen, like the little hashtag question mark exclamation, sort of, random symbols that are used to sort of imply swearing in comics where they don't actually want to write it in. Which sort of suggested that despite the Sparks being the sort of most helpless and adorable of the crew, he's apparently a bit of a potty mouth, which is a cute little contrast, I think. So I remember that much, but I don't remember them in great detail. So yeah, there's a possibility it was shown in one of those, but then it never turned into a model, or never turned into a model that was actually released as a set. So that would have been my best guess as to where it came from. But what this video showed was an icon, like the icons that we have here for these buildings, which was called Canteen. It was also apparently called Snack Bar, which I think is an excellent name, and I petition that we immediately have the name of the canteen in Manic Miners changed to Snack Bar, because I think that's a much better name. But yes. So I think that's that's where it came from. It also showed the video, that is. It also showed a sort of partial model of one that had been made, because I was initially thinking when I saw it that it was very impressive that either Basmod or Manic Miners, or whoever came up with the idea of putting the canteen in, had been able to build the entire model out of a very small little image. And you've got to remember, of course, these ones are much higher res than they had in the game itself, because obviously all of this is a lot sharper and snazzier than what we had back in the day. So I think that pretty much concludes where the canteen came from. Interestingly, and this wasn't mentioned in the video, but I did see it and thought it was interesting, there was an icon for the tunnel transport as well, which I thought was very interesting. And I mentioned with the canteen, I don't know whether it's an idea that was brought in by Manic Miners, or I don't know if it was an idea that was brought in by Basmod, because I initially thought that the tunnel transport was an idea by I remember them jumping before. I remember them doing that in the base game, but I don't remember actually seeing that happen in Manic Miners before. But I'm glad that that's there, because that's cute. Yes, I thought the introduction of the tunnel transport was a Manic Miners thing, but I am reliably informed that it's not. It's actually from Basmod. The introduction of the tunnel transport as a playable vehicle, rather than just being something that you see at the edge of one mission. So that is interesting. It makes me wonder, because they designed a little icon like this, which presumably is where this one came from. Likewise with with all of these. If the tunnel transport had been planned as a vehicle that could be implemented, in the same way that there are missions where you go and find a small digger or a granite grinder or whatever, Frozen Frenzy would just be a mission where you go and you find a tunnel transport. It wouldn't, be the only place that you could see a tunnel transport. So that would indeed have been very interesting. I do wonder if they decided that it was too big, and that it was a bit sort of ungainly, and they couldn't quite get it to work in the map, because you do have to confess, especially when you've got like a single track here. I mean, we saw it there in Don't Panic, that just manoeuvring the tunnel transport around can be difficult because it is just so bloody big, which, in and of itself is not a problem. It is better suited for larger, more open environments, but especially when you consider that the height of a cavern is pretty much fixed. I mean, it sort of gets a little bit taller in places where there's a gradient, but for the most part the height of a cavern is fixed, and there isn't really space, speaking very strictly, for the tunnel transport to squeeze in. It looks better in sort of the overhead view, of course, because you don't see the ceiling, just like I don't see enough crystals. If we could get in here, we'd be alright. Okay, there is an undiscovered cavern, which suggests that we could attack this from behind. We could also start moving in that direction, because that would be a little bit closer to home. I think we just need to sort of start moving in all directions at the same time, which is going to spread the people out quite a lot, but we do need to be making some progress, because we're going a bit slow at the moment, because we're already half an hour into this and we've barely scratched the frickin' surface of this level. Saying that, we've gone about as far south as we're going to. Blimey. That doesn't set off your fear of eyes. Nothing on this earth will. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, they're like little ants. My goodness. Yeah, we've done. Oh, good. More of this. Grand. Let me just scroll all the way back in. Give myself a hernia of the forefinger. Or index finger, I should say.
Hello.
What? Oh, you scared the hell out of me. I thought that was Chief coming up with a message like, "You failed the level again, you doofus." No. Gladly, that's not what happened. Okay, right. We can get to this one, and then that will give us enough for a granite grinder. Although saying that, when that interesting. When this goes off, that's going to take down that wall, and that wall. Like before, that one will stay there. Then what I think I'm going to do is I'll get a person, I'll drill the wall partially to get 3 of the crystals out, take them home so that they're safe, and then I'll bring everyone together so that they're right here, drill that last one down, and then kill him as quickly as possible so that he has no opportunity whatsoever to eat any of the crystals. Because if I just knock that down immediately quite quickly, then there's going to be 4 crystals sat there. There's a good chance he's going to get woken up by the noise of it all. And then he's just going to eat them and run away with them, and then we're going to be in a right little jam. So, so what I'm going to do is me and Docs here are going to drill out 3 crystals. Then we'll let people take them away, and we can, then those 3 will be safe, and at most, one can get eaten. There we go. Okay, that's good enough for me. Never mind. Then we should be able to, because if I had a large mobile laser gun, it wouldn't be a problem. I just shoot him through the crack, and then he'd be gone, and that wouldn't be a problem anymore. But I don't want to risk mucking things up any worse. Anyway, I shall stop drivelling on about that and drivel on about something else. What other notes did I make about things? Oh my goodness, I forgot. I forgot about the single most amazing thing in the entirety of the game, which we were criminally robbed of, right? Okay, so it was going through this little cursor thing here, you see, right? You see how in the middle of it, it comes up with different little pictures for different little things, like, you know, like if I were to tell somebody to drill a wall, which there's probably none around here that I could show. Oh yeah, of course there's the same, isn't there? Look, you can see like the little green thing of him moving or drilling or picking up or whatever. So it was going through some of those, and it was including, you know, some that were vaguely interesting, like a little sort of opening shutter, like at the beginning of a James Bond film, which perhaps would have happened at the beginning of the level, which would have been sort of kind of cute to see. But the most interesting one, which it showed, was a picture of a slug with an arrow pointing down, and another picture of a slug with an arrow pointing up. And these were called Get On Slug and Get Off Slug, suggesting, and apparently there were some animations that go along with this, that people, miners specifically, could climb on the back of slugs and ride them around, which, if you ask me, is the most amazing thing in the world. And then the video showed some footage of a mod where, oh, blimey, they picked their moment well, didn't they? Oh, blimey, we're going to have to wait till the cavalry arrives. The video showed a mod of one of these little bastards, right? What it showed was the model for the Hover Scout had been replaced with a model of a slimy slug, so that you could see some men getting on to a slug and riding it round, which honestly was the most amazing thing I have seen in a very long time. And I can't help remembering that clip where Axel and Sparks have some crystals in the back of a truck, and then a slug gets into the truck, sucks the power out of one of the crystals, and then zooms around really quickly. And I have this mental image of a miner getting on a noble steed of a slimy slug, sucking the power out of a crystal, and then zooming across the map at top speed. The fact that such an idea was there in the minds of the developers and we were robbed of it and we never got to see it, I think is absolutely criminal, and there should be some sort of inquest to find whoever it was who demanded the game be finished sooner and then be not allowed to have any more chocolate cookies for the rest of their life, because that is absolutely appalling that we were robbed of miners riding slugs. My goodness, that would be amazing. I thought the idea that you can pet slugs in Manic Miners was an incredible thing. My goodness. Riding slugs would be a whole other level. Right, anyway, enough of that. Enough of that frivolity and frivolousness. We need to bring down a proper vehicle. I'm going to turn that off and turn that on and make a few upgrades so that we can get on with things a little bit more efficiently. I'll also probably bring down a couple of little trucks as well when we're finished with this. So turn the power for this off and turn the power for... Turn that off, turn that on, there we go, and get a little truck. There we are, and then someone can get in. Is there anybody who's not busy eating sandwiches? Here we are, you can get in there. Is there a certain irony that once there was a possibility of a rock raider riding a slug, and now we have the slugs riding the rock raiders? Is there a certain irony there? I think that there might be, and I think that's kind of cute. Alrighty, let's go off in this direction, I think, because that might give us access to those. It might give us access to those seams, and then we'll have stuff to make other vehicles. Well, what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description to that video so that you can watch it yourself, because it talked about other things, other interesting things, and I think you should all see, in order to be fully rounded human beings, I think you all need to see. A rock raider in all of its low poly glory, riding a slimy slug. I think you all need to observe that. So that's your homework after watching this. You need to go and watch that other video so that you can see that. Oh dear, what other things did the video talk about? Talk about a potentially expanded notification system than the one that we got. I'm not sure that all of the things that it suggested were removed because there wasn't time to fully implement them. I think some of them were just sort of written out because it was decided that they wouldn't work well in the design. Some of the examples that it included was notifications for when... I should probably get those walls reinforced before I worry about any of this, but never mind. Also, this hasn't led me to the arse end of this, which is exactly where I hoped it would lead me, so that's a bit of a pickle. Yeah, some of the notifications included walls being reinforced and buildings being constructed and ore being found, to name a few. Land being eroded as well was another one. I think some of the reasons that, or the reason that jumps to my mind anyway, for not implementing a notification for things like buildings being constructed, fence being put down, reinforcements being built, that sort of thing, is that those things are a direct result of your action. It is the completion of your orders being carried out, versus things like a crystal being found or a monster spawning. Well, I suppose crystals being found is a response to your orders, because you probably told somebody to drill that out, especially if it was like drilling through a seam or whatever. But I think the main point about the notification system is that it's things that you would perhaps like to respond to. So when it's a monster has spawned or a slug has spawned, you can press the little arrow and it will immediately take you to where that is, so that you can then respond to it and deal with it. Likewise with the crystals, if I need to know, oh, there's a crystal, but I don't know where it is because I've set 5 people to drill off different things and none of there's some monsters about, so I need to know exactly where it is. Alright, it's here. Okay, that's fine. Let me find the nearest person and make sure that's getting sorted out. So I feel like what the notification system is there for is to enable you to respond to things more quickly than otherwise. And if it's a wall being reinforced or a building being built, you don't really need to respond to that. It was a building maybe, because you might want to then do something with it, like bring down a vehicle or something like that. So I can sort of understand why that might be considered sort of useful. But Ha ha! I've outwitted you! Oh, blimey and bollocks, what's going on? 6 slugs. 6 slugs. Okay, I'm not frightfully frickin' worried about 6 slugs at the moment. I'm slightly more worried about you lot. Oh my goodness, the chief's being thrown around. He's far too old for all that. Okay. This is a real frickin' jam I've got myself in. If I stand in front of you, will you bash this instead of bashing that? Good, that'll slow him down by a few seconds. Good, that's good. You get slowed down as much as is humanly possible. I'm more than happy to take the damage on this. Right, there we are. Now I'm going to get my arse out of the way. There we go. Okay, that slowed him down long enough for us to kill him. That's good. Okay, now where are the rest of the slimy slugs? Have they all been driven off? I think they have. Okay, that's good. Right, you need to go home and get some repairs, which is probably what you're already doing, but please get on with it anyway. Okay, that was slightly disastrous, but I think we've just about survived. Okay, if that's demonstrated anything, is that we absolutely do need mining lasers. So I will set up a mining laser on either side of here, and then that will give us a better chance to do battle. Essentially, I'm going to set something to reinforce as well, so that that's not as likely to happen again. Yes. another reason why I think they wouldn't have implemented all of those potential options for a notification system would be specifically the one for ore. If you got a notification every single time a piece of ore was found, you would get millions. You would constantly be clicking and spamming this button trying to get rid of them all, because you'd be being driven mad by that very, very quickly. So I think that's probably the reason why they didn't implement that one. So I'm not convinced that yeah, those expanded bits of the notification system were because of constraints. I think they were just decided that it wouldn't work in the design of the game, so they didn't bother about them. But again, interesting to see what might have been, so to speak. Okay, so there was no way to get in there from the arsense. You had to go in via drilling a corner or using a laser, so that's interesting. What else do we talk about? One little minor thing, which I can't really imagine why it wasn't implemented, and it's a shame that it wasn't, is that you might remember in the game, this little screen here was a little bit larger, and it would come up with little pictures of things when certain stuff happened, like when a rock raider received some training or an entry crystal was found. There'd be a little picture up here to go along with the audio message, and one of those was Doc saying that a new cavern had been discovered, as he still says, although without the little picture anymore, which I can sort of see why Manic Miners hasn't kept that, because it did take up a bit of room on the screen, which, to be honest, is real estate, which could probably be better used elsewhere, but all the same. No, what it said, which is something I'd not really picked up on before, is that where's the truck? Is that the picture that accompanies Doc's little face is of a rock level like this. Reverse. Good. That's what I wanted. This whole time, that's all I wanted, was just you to reverse so that you didn't wake him up. Yes, but of course there are ice levels, and there are as well lava levels. So it would make sense for there to be pictures so that you could see a rock one in a rock level and a lava one in a lava level, etc., etc. And those all exist. Apparently, even in the game manual, there are pictures of them. The video was saying, although I don't remember seeing that, but again, I haven't looked at the game. If the game even came with a manual, I can't remember. In a great many years, indeed. So it's going to be real interesting to see how it tries to live with. Oh, that's interesting. A little red light doesn't actually come on until it's connected with the building. That's cute. I like that. It's a nice little bit of attention to detail. Yeah, because it's going to zap, but it's going to zap through the ground, which is going to be. Oh, it's on a little bit of an angle, not enough of an angle, in my personal opinion, but a little bit of one. Maybe we should move. Oh, you can't. You can't put electric fence on top of a slimy slug hole. That's interesting. I just wanted to push the fence out a little bit, so if monsters were coming, as much as slugs are a bigger issue at the moment, they'd die ever so slightly faster. Right. Anyway, yeah. So apparently there were little pictures for docs to be able to show you lava and ice, but were just never implemented, which is a shame. That seems more like something which would have been a time constraint, in that they probably wanted to do it and they were probably going to do it, but they just didn't have time with whatever deadlines it was that they were facing. It's curious, really. I've never looked into the story of why it was rushed, if there was a specific reason or something driving it to be released that much earlier, because presumably the PlayStation version was released a little bit later, as we were saying earlier, since it seemed to have odds and bods in that the PC version didn't have. It must have been to coincide with something, because that's always why stuff gets rushed. It's never because they want things. Sometimes it's because they want things quickly, but it's more often because they've got something else which is happening, which they can't delay, and they want things to come out at the same time. Otherwise, it's not going to be concurrent anymore, and it's not going to perform as well. Like with the Sea Dogs 2 game we were playing, one of the reasons that was rushed and incomplete was, what the frick is going on over here? One of the reasons that was rushed is because when the development was upended and it was decided that they wanted it to tie in with the Pirates of the Caribbean film, they wanted it to be released at the same time as the Pirates of the Caribbean film. Otherwise, oh, Sonic Blasters work on monsters as well. I didn't think Sonic Blasters had any effect on monsters. I thought they only worked on slimy slugs. That's really interesting. Anyway, yeah, so, you know, if you release a film and there's, like, interest and hype in it, and then 6 months later you release a game, there's not going to be as much interest or as many sales for it as if you release the game that ties in with the film at the same time as the film. And obviously they don't want to hold up the release of the film by, you know, 6 months or whatever in order to give time to finish a game. So obviously the game is going to be rushed rather than the film being released. So the only thing I can think of, excuse me, the only thing I can think of with respect to why Rock Raiders might have been hurried would be so that it could tie in with the Lego sets being released and the theme of new models coming out from Lego, and maybe they wanted it done faster, they wanted it to be sped up so that it could, now we've got enough crystals, maybe I should just take this home and replace it for a large mobile laser cutter, because I'm a bit unenthused by constantly having to hold it back because it can't fight the monsters. Despite the fact it's got 2 Bloomingo drills on the front, you think you'd be able to defeat a creature made out of rock, but apparently that's just not how the world works. Yeah, maybe it was Lego wanting the game to be released earlier so that it would tie in with the sets that they wanted to release. Perhaps that was it, or perhaps it was a different constraint. At the moment, I can't really think of any other constraint which might have been relevant. But really, who knows? It was all a very long time ago. Another thing which was mentioned, I know I'm just rabbiting on about this endlessly, but you know, after like 40 episodes, after 40 episodes, I have nothing else to talk about. I'm infinitely glad for any suggestions of literally anything to talk about. Otherwise, I do just find myself rambling incoherently about meaningless twaddle. So I hope you'll forgive me for rabbiting on about this, but at least it's relevant and hopefully it's vaguely interesting. But one of the things that the video was talking about, which it didn't say explicitly, but I think perhaps was perhaps is the implicit suggestion, is that the PlayStation version, of course, you play specific miners, right? You play as, you know, Docs or Bandit or Sparks or Jet or whoever, and each person has a specific ability of one form or another. Now, this is going to be interesting because there's definitely a seam inside here, isn't there? Yes, there is. That happens. That happens when I open, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know I could destroy my own power bath by shooting it with a laser. That's a new one. That happens when I'm opening seams, isn't it? Okay, well, at least that gives it a certain level of predictability. I can live with that. Can people walk across there or not? Am I going to have to get a tunnel transport for that? Come here, you! Or come here, me, I suppose I should say. I'll make you drop that. You can, yeah, you can just about scoot over here. I might just, because they might not be able to figure it out with their own pathfinding, I might just transport these four across here so that other people can figure it out. Or they might already be on their way to do this, and I'm just screwing everything up completely. Come on, get through there. There we go. Yeah, in the PlayStation version, of course, you played as individual miners. There was some suggestion in the video that I was watching through some of the bits it was showing that there was the possibility that was planned for the PC version as well, instead of you just having totally generic Grog Raiders. I mean, the crew of the LMS Explorer. Oh, come on, for crying out loud! This worked fine a minute ago. The crew of the LMS Explorer must be, there we go, must be greater than just the 6 or 7 of them. I know nobody else was shown in the cutscenes, and nobody else was shown in the models, in the Lego models. But that big ship couldn't have been manned, surely, just by like 6 or 7 people. That there must be more people than that. So I do think it would make sense for there to be, you know, just generic people, you know, just crew members that just do their work. Because, you know, otherwise you have 6 people on a mission, which includes the chief, and then, you know, you've got nobody looking after the ship, nobody there to keep a handle on things. That's no way to run a spaceship. I should know. I've run lots. Right. There we are. That's that little troublesomeness sorted out. Yeah, but one of the things it was showing was icons again for the cursor, which showed the faces of individual people, like Sparks and Bandit, and, you know, Axel and Jet and all the rest of them, potentially suggesting that you would have been able to select them or play as them, have them as people that came down. Again, you know, that might have been an idea which has been understood for quite a while now, and been something that Basmod wanted to implement. There's no crystals in there, are there? No. So if I just wake this guy up, he should just scoot off into a wall on his own accord and leave me alone. Marvellous! And I might actually go for a pacifist solution here, but I'd much rather just shoot them in the head and not kill them than actually have to murder them for them. It just gives me less to do, which means the video is slightly shorter and I can go to bed slightly earlier. So all of these things are excellent in my book. We should probably bring down some more trucks as well. That would probably be a sensible thing to do quite soon. Is that going to open up a pathway or not? No, it's not. That's a damn shame. Speaking of being able to play as specific people, obviously in Manic Miners they do have some specific benefits because they're automatically trained as something. You know, Bandit is already a sailor, Jay is already a pilot, etc., etc. But beyond that, they don't have any gameplay differences, rather than you know, things being purely cosmetic. So I do seem to remember reading, perhaps it was in one of the little messages at the bottom of the screen, but it said something to the effect of, right now there is no gameplay differences between you know, specific named miners, which is an interesting way of putting it, suggesting that possibly there was an idea that one day in the future they might implement something. I don't really know what that would look like. Probably small little buffs like Jet can fly 10% faster, or Axel can drive 10% faster, you know, Sparks can carry one extra item in a small truck, or, you know, something like that. Some little tiny benefits which aren't, you know, game changing or anything. They're just there's just sort of nice little extra odds and bods to have. Right. I want to get some more trucks down before I worry about
Ready for takeoff. That sounds good.
So that's what I like about Jet, right? She just gets on with the job, right? You tell her what needs doing, and she gets on with it. She's just not grumpy like Bandit and Axel are. Like, oh no, it's not underwater, I'm not interested. Oh, it moves too slowly, it's not good enough for me. Just like, no, you know what? Let's just get this done, because we're all sick of being on this ruddy planet where there's monsters and slugs and scorpions and spiders and snakes and every other bloody horrible creature that we could dream up, short of demons and gargoyles. So let's just get on with things. Right. Come on, bark your arse, old man. Come here. No, come back here, you disobedient goon. I know you're not used to taking orders, but for crying out loud, sit there and behave yourself. I should probably get this upgraded. Actually, we've got more than enough ore. Right, there we are. Now, I am absolutely certain from our previous observations that this will cause some slugs to spawn. There we are. Right, well, it's nice to have things confirmed, isn't it? Okay, so we've got 3 of these little cheeky chaps to deal with. Oh, good, there goes another piece of power path. Blimey. Right, let's try this again. I don't like the slurpy noises they make. That's horrible. That's horrible. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, well, at least we seem to have figured out when the slugs appear. They're not just appearing at random intervals. That's a little bit more predictable than that, which is good. I don't really like things being random. I like it when I can, if I can understand what's going on, then I can begin to develop some sort of strategy to combat it, even if my strategy fails miserably, as we have seen more than once. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Another interesting thing, which I think didn't get as far along in the development as some of the other bits that we might have seen, and and that we've been talking about, is there was brief mention of a 4th type of level. So obviously we've got our rock levels, we've got our lava levels, and we've got our ice levels, but there was a 4th type of level which was mentioned quite in passing. But as potentially being quite interesting. That's going to be a royal pain in the arse. Now I sort of wish I still had my granite grinder. Blimey. Yeah, if I shoot that piece down, that piece will go with it, won't it? Hooray! I think we figured it out. Huzzah! Brilliant. Who needs a granite grinder? Overrated anyway. Yeah, very much in passing, it mentioned the idea of there being a water level, which is, I thought, very interesting. I don't know if that would be an underwater level, which I think is interesting, but I think it would require I think it would require a major overhaul of the fundamental principles of the game, because the men and the vehicles and the whole oxygen supply situation and everything, I'm not sure that any of that could have worked in the way that it does now if the levels had been underwater. Because, you know, you'd have needed presumably all... I guess some of the vehicles could have worked. Maybe, especially the larger vehicles, because they do have this sort of, I mean, it's not enclosed, but it could easily be sort of retrofitted with bits of glass or something to have like an underwater variant of a vehicle, so that it could then work. Maybe, yes, perhaps. But I do think it would require some quite significant overhaul to make it function properly. If levels actually were underwater, maybe, you know, maybe it wasn't meant to be a completely underwater thing. Maybe it was just meant to be a type of level where there was, I don't know, maybe flooding going on or something, and it was going to be a similar concept to the eroding lava, and you know, you'd have to deal with sort of flood water, and something like that, and it eventually got left on the floor of the cutting room, but I think the fact that it might have required differing mechanics or different vehicles or a different way of going about things, that might possibly go some way to explain why it wasn't implemented, because if they were in a hurry, they probably thought, this idea for a water level is cool and we like it, but if we have to overhaul a load of other stuff and add in either new vehicles or new mechanics and stuff, that's all going to be very time consuming. And perhaps they didn't have time for that, so they decided, let's drop the idea of the water level. Even if we like it, we're not going to really have an opportunity to implement it properly. So they decided not to dedicate their time to it. Although it would have been interesting, as with all of these things when it comes to cut content, to see what it would have looked like if the developers had had the opportunity to implement their ideas more fully. And don't get me wrong, it's great to see what modders can do when they pull stuff out of game files and then they can reintroduce it. You see that a lot with games. One of my favourite games is Fallout New Vegas, which is another game famous for being rushed and having a large volume of cut content. And a lot of modders have dragged stuff out of the old files to make up mods that implement. Oh my goodness, 8 slugs. Oh my goodness gracious, I'm gonna need some help. Yeah, queue up, why don't you little bastards. Oh dear. I think there's just one guy who's come to help, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all the help I can get. Okay, he's got rid of one of the slugs, that's good. Oh my goodness, look at all those little purple crystals. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I managed to get rid of all the guys on this side, so that's good. I can live with that. Okay, right, let's get these crystals recharged, please. I can't quite cope with that as an idea. That is a really cool image. So seeing them in purple is so rare. That is really cool. I love the colour. Purple is not a colour you see in this game. Other than that, that's really cool. I really like that. Very, very visually appealing. Whilst at the same time being sort of slightly terrifying that it's happened in the first place, but it's still cute, you know. Okay, right. How much of the map have we done? Bit over half. That seems reasonable. We're going to be going an hour and 5 minutes on this level, which means we're probably approaching the 2-hour mark already. But never mind. Never mind. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, does it? As long as my voice doesn't give out. As long as my brain doesn't give out as much as you might have not ever thought it was here in the first place, then we should be okay. Right. I like they've left the 2 little studs on. That's a nice little homage to the original model, I think. Bloody hell, there's a hell of an image. Just the monster coming down the hill. No, I'm not going to break into song at that point, as much as that would be a very appropriate moment for such things. Alright, if I bust through here, that should make a significant shortcut for our people. Oh, blimey. Yeah, it would be great to see what the developers would have done with all of these bits and bobs if they'd had more time and resources to implement it all as they had originally intended. But that's not how things panned out, unfortunately. Right. I'm going to hit this just the once, I think. There we go. And hopefully we won't get besieged by about 50 million slugs at exactly the same instant. If I can ever get rid of this one. Oh, it is literally just that one. Okay, so 3 came out of one hole and 1 came out of the other. That's curious. I would have expected them to even it out more, but never mind. You can't expect them to be brilliantly tactical. They're only slugs after all. And I'm the man who keeps shooting his power path, so, you know, I'm not one to throw stones from my glass house. I like that there are no other slug holes. Oh, no, there are no other slug holes. Sorry, I saw the slightly paler bit of ground by Axel's light, and I got... What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you being lazy? Why are you being a big lazy bones? Stop being a lazy bones. Can you make a skeleton in this game? No, I was going to say presumably not, because I was going to say the Lego skeleton was was comparatively later than this. Actually, I'm not convinced it was. I'm trying to remember when the Lego skeleton figure was actually introduced, because there's been so many iterations of the Lego skeleton over the years. It's difficult to remember exactly when it came in. Can I charge stuff up myself, or is that something they can only do on their own? No, it seems to only be a thing they can do on their own. Fair enough. Hooray! Right, brilliant. Moving on. Yeah, I'm trying to remember when the first skeletons came in. Skeletons must have been in for quite a while, because there's been so many of the older themes were like pirates and knights and Egyptian adventures and things like that. There must have been skeletons in there. There must have been skeletons by the 90s. Surely there was. There probably was. But that's not to suggest that that's good enough reason for there to be the opportunity to make a skeleton crew member. It's just that most of the like printing pieces and headwear and all the rest of it that you can put your miners with are specifically either from Rock Raiders, from the other retro Lego games like Lego Island and Alpha Team and things like that, and trying to restrict it generally to that era of Lego pieces so that it doesn't have all of the just every single potential modern piece, which is a discussion I saw going on in the Discord server at one point. Die. We've got big brothers turn up. Or sisters, according to the theory that we laid out previously with my very limited understanding of arachnid biology. What were we talking about? Probably nothing important. Dare I repeat myself about the 15th time? But I do have a horrible habit of losing my my train of thought, which slightly terrifyingly I am beginning to see in my elsewhere in my life as well. I'll start doing something like I was. This is a very boring story, but I feel like I'm losing my mind slightly, so I need to tell somebody. If you don't mind, so I'm just going to employ you as my impromptu therapist, if that's alright, because I feel I need to tell somebody that this happened. Right, so I was emptying a bin, right? So I went to the kitchen, I wanted to empty the kitchen bin, and I took the bin out of the cupboard, and I opened it, I took the bag out, sealed it, took it to the big bin outside, and then I seemingly completely forgot what I was doing as soon as I'd dropped the bag of rubbish into the bin and closed the lid of the bin, because then I just went off and carried on with the rest of my day, completely forgetting that I needed to go back into the kitchen, put a new bag into the bin, and put the bin back in the cupboard. And it was only when I came back into the kitchen hours later that I realised I'd actually got halfway through a chore before completely forgetting. So that either shows you that my attention span has the same length as a gnat's wing, or that I'm just completely losing my mind. One or the other. But yeah. If it makes you feel any better, I don't just lose my train of thought as to what I'm doing when I'm playing a video game and whittering on about incoherent rubbish. It does happen in the rest of my life as well. I don't know why that would make you feel any better, but goodness knows it made me feel worse. So I'd like to think that somebody's getting some level of satisfaction out of this. But never mind. Never mind any of that. Hey, Mrs. B, you're here keeping my lap warm, and there's more recharge seams in here than you can shake a bloody stick at. Oh, blimey, I'd completely forgotten about this. Oh dear. Turns out even ghosts are permeable to spiders. Right, I think I am going to... Do you have a hammer? Yes, you do. Good for you. I'm going to set this to reinforce on the off chance that a monster's going to jump out of it. I'm then going to knock down this couple of seams. Some slugs will spawn. I want to send this guy home to... I want to send this guy home to get some repairs done, just so that he's in tip-top shape, and then we can get the last little bits drilled out. And then while he's driving home to be repaired, I can worry about monsters. Where the monsters? They're the monsters. Okay, right. The monsters are not tremendously. 10 slugs. Okay, fine. Form an orderly queue, gentlemen. I'll shoot all of you. You just need to wait your turn. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, those crystals. Those crystals. What about the crystals? Where are they? Oh, blimey. How many crystals are still here? None. But these guys look very, very angry. Stop it. Stop being mean. Or I'll shoot you in the face. I'm going to have to trust the men to deal with the slugs. It doesn't matter if they drain some crystals, because they'll just fall on the floor and we can bring them back. It's not as if there's like a... There isn't a small chance that the crystal disappears, right? The crystals always reappear to be replenished, right? That's how it works. I think, I hope, I pray. Ah, blimey! Get your ass out of my building! Just one man with a sonic blaster, just holding the falls, literally. Good work, man. Good work, man. You might be generic looking, but you're doubtlessly effective. Bloody hell. Right. Let's get those walls reinforced so that utter disaster doesn't happen again. Right, now you really need to get repaired. All the more than before. Goodness gracious, that threw me off. Oh. Hello. The only other thing that the video talked about, which I found slightly surprising, and I'm not suggesting in any way that it was incorrect. I was just surprised to hear this. That the game was described as being, as in this, well, not this game, not Manic Miners, but you know, the Rock Raiders itself, being described as quite obscure and sort of quite unknown and a bit well, I don't know whether it goes as far as to say a bit forgotten. I don't know if the video said that, but yeah, being quite obscure. I know that the later Lego games made by Traveller's Tales are a lot better known than the retro Lego games of the 90s and the 2000s, like Rock Raiders and Alpha Team and Legoland and Lego Loco and Stunt Rally and Lego Island and all the rest of that. I don't know, are they that obscure? Was Rock Raiders that obscure? I know the theme didn't do tremendously well, which is a frightful shame, because I think it's one of the Lego's best original themes. I know that all of Lego's licensed themes, that is difficult to say when you're as stupid as I am. I know Lego's licensed themes have typically done better for them than their original themes, with possible exceptions of maybe things like Lego City, because you know that's just such a nice sort of universal concept. I think anybody can get on board with that sort of thing. And that's not to also suggest that, you know, Lego themes are always popular. Goodness knows they're not. Even if they're licensed, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do really well. They licensed the Prince of Persia film to make a theme around that. And I think some of the Lego sets in that were actually really interesting designs with interesting characters and interesting sort of visual styles and things. I think they looked really interesting. I don't think they did tremendously well. I don't think the film did tremendously well, and therefore I don't think Lego did tremendously well out of it either. And I think there's some murmurings that they sort of regret the financial decision to get involved in all of that rubbish. But never mind. So yeah, that's not to suggest that Lego was always successful or Lego always always does well. It doesn't always. Some of it is amazingly popular, don't get me wrong, indisputably popular. But no, I it's difficult for me to comment really on whether this game is. I mean, I think it probably goes without saying to say that it's obscure now, because it's been 25 years, for crying out loud. Any piece of media is going to be obscure after 25 years with how quickly we move on from things. And even 25 years is not an unreasonable time for people to forget about things and move on to other stuff, especially with an industry which is progressing as fast as video games does, because of course it's so tied to technology. Compared, I mean, to an industry like music, for example, which progresses, and it did progress as technology progresses. If you want some interesting reading about that, have a read into how rock and roll and oh blimey, governor, how rock and roll and sort of electric guitars and all the rest of that came along with the advance of technology. If you're interested, we mentioned it before, but the Fallout franchise, if you're interested in that as well, it links into that a lot, because that sort of technological leap, I'm not exactly sure what the component was that permitted that sort of step forward in design of electrical devices, but it essentially meant you could put a lot more in a lot less space, which allowed for new instruments to be created, like the electric guitar and others, which certainly fed in, among a lot of other things, including a lot of cultural things, to the development of rock and roll, which in turn led to the reduction in popularity of the existing genres around at the time that were there in the 40s and the early 50s. But anyway, that's by the by. The music industry at the moment does not progress primarily due to technology, because the basic technology there for the production of music exists. Yes, we're making better microphones, and yes, we're making better speakers, and yes, some would argue that AI music is a thing. I'd argue that it's a load of absolute bollocks, but it's a thing which exists. We can't stop it from existing, as much as I'd very much like to stop it from existing. I mean, it's interesting as like, that's kind of cute that they can do that, but oh my goodness, I'm not even going to get into it. It's just going to make me angry, and that's not what these videos are about. Anyway, all of that was basically to say that the video game industry primarily progresses with technology, right? Games get more advanced and they get more complicated because technology permits developers to implement their ideas in a grander way as technology advances, right? Because I'm sure that if all the ideas for Rock Raiders had come about and the development team had come about, 10, 15, 20 years later, it would have been much more advanced than it was, because it wasn't limited by the ideas that they had at the time, it was limited by the technology which they had to implement those ideas. So when you have an industry which moves along with technology as much as the video game industry does, it is all the more to be expected that over the course of 25 years a game will be forgotten and replaced by other things at the as the years go by, in the same way that games from today will probably be forgotten in 25 years, because crying aloud, in 25 years I tend to freaking think what video games are going to look like, but we shall have to wait and see. Anyway, all of that diatribe of rubbish was all really to say that you can understand why retro games don't maintain their level of popularity as games over time. But it's difficult for the most part for me to comment on whether you little bastards. You were stood so perfectly laterally disparate from one another. I could have shot you each with a laser beam at the same time and it would have been amazing. And then you little bastards to go ruin it. Ugh. Bloody spiders. Right, I'm not actually going to shoot both because I don't want to deal with that many slugs again. Although saying that, there's still 12 of the little bastards. Yeah, it's difficult for me to comment on whether the game is popular or not all the time. And if there's anybody who's, you know, a bit older than me, who's watching and was always familiar with the game when it first came out, and is more aware of its popularity or lack thereof at the time, I'd be very interested to hear what your experiences are. But yeah, obviously I wasn't there when the game came out. I wouldn't be born for 2 years before Rock Raiders would. Or 2 years after, I should say, Rock Raiders was released. So, you know, it had been and gone long time by the time that I was kicking around. More slugs? No, maybe there's a sort of a cooldown time. So maybe actually shooting both of them isn't a problem because it is just spawning 12 each time I get them. Interesting. No, which sort of might lead you to the question which I probably have talked about before, but goodness knows with this many bloody hours of footage it's impossible to keep track of what I have and haven't said. But no, to perhaps give a slight explanation if you're confused, you know, with me growing up in the, you know, late 2000s, why the hell was I playing a game from, you know, 15 years ago? Why wasn't I playing games that were then concurrent? Because, you know, like, oh, what games were coming out in the late 2000s? Fallout 3, that came out, and mind you, I played that a lot, which came out in 2009, I think? Yeah, because Fallout 3 was 2009, Fallout New Vegas was 2010, Fallout, Skyrim, even not Fallout. Skyrim then came out in 2011, if I remember correctly. This is going to be a royal pain in my arse because I have a big fear about that monster that's just at the top of the screen being... Okay, good, the crystal's been taken, that's fine, I can live with that. I can live with that. Yeah, you know, I mean, I did grow up playing, you know, Fallout and Skyrim, but in addition to that, I also grew up playing a lot of older games, but that was mostly just because we didn't have money for, you know, the consoles of the time, like the Did you get damaged? Did someone get damaged by me shooting lasers around, or was that a slug? I think that was probably just a slug. Oh, that monster has been standing there whacking that thing for ages and I didn't even bloody notice. Great. And now this one solitary ghost with a gun is chasing this man. Right. I think, blimey, what have I done? I've clicked out of the game by accident. Sorry. Is there a hotkey for turning this on? No. No, there isn't, although there probably should be. God blimey, he's had a ding on the coconut, hasn't he? No, we didn't really have money for, you know, the consoles at the time, like, you know, a PlayStation or an Xbox or whatever. So for the most part, I was playing games on old, rundown office computers for the most part, which had been replaced and had no value any longer. So a lot of my initial gaming experience was found on a Windows XP computer, which is where I played things like, you know, that Pirates of the Caribbean game we played, and Rock Raiders, and much more. And it was only a bit later, quite some years later actually, that I got a it was a Windows 7 PC. Yeah, I think it was a Windows 7 PC where I then started to get into some slightly more advanced games like Fallout and Skyrim, and then I went over to console a little bit later in life. But no, that's all by the by. So it sort of led to this slightly curious circumstance where I'm very familiar with a lot of games from the late 90s and early 2000s, despite the fact that I either wasn't there or I wasn't playing them because I was far too young. Sorry, I've a bit of cat hair in my mouth. Absolutely disgusting. Bib. Yeah, it sort of led to this sort of slightly weird position I'm in where I know a lot about these games, and I remember them very fondly, but at the same time, I was not there, so I actually don't know what they were like concurrently. So to me, Rock Raider seems like, you know, big whoop. It seems like, wow, this was a great game. This was, you know, a really important part of my childhood. So it, to my recollection, it wasn't obscure, but, you know, I wasn't actually there, so my recollection isn't actually what really happened, because I'm just remembering my own perception of playing the game all those years ago. So, yeah, maybe it was that's interesting. Maybe it was an obscure game that didn't do frightfully well. I don't know, really. It's a shame that it didn't do better, because if it had done better, then, you know, the sky could have been the limit. They could have made a sequel. They could have made more Lego models. They could have done anything if they potentially had more success and more backing into it. But hey ho, that's not how the cookie crumbled. So that's not what we observed. But hey ho, it's interesting to think of what might have been if the market had played out differently to how it did. Right, with all of that rubbish rambled on about, I think. Okay, I'm guessing because that wasn't one that was surrounded by recharge seams, that didn't set off all of the slugs. Right, with the exception of this little bit over here in the corner, are we done? Or have I missed anything else? I don't think so. Nope. Nope, I reckon this is the last little bit that we need. Okay, fair enough. I can see there's at least one monster in here, and I think I want to come in from the other side, actually, to give me a slightly better chance of doing this. This is so cool. I love that there are little sort of extra weird, daft things in the game that you can unlock. I think that's kind of cute. And lovely that we got to discover that together, rather than me find that off camera, because that was a nice little consolation prize, should we say? A cute little consolation prize in recompense for the horrific experience and sacrifice that we went through doing Don't Panic, but all the same, my streak of pacifism has left the building. Right. We want final invasion of slugs, I imagine, when we blast our way through that. But let's just knock these bits down. There we go. We can come over here and get this little bit done, and I reckon we'll be about done. Oh, look at all these little spiders over here that are stranded. I remember the spiders in the original game could actually walk into a wall, a little bit like the mini monsters, which appear when you kill a monster. And the way they walk into a wall and then they do they're bashing their way through the wall like a monster does when it's retreating. Though obviously sped up for the sake of the reduction in scale. The spiders could do something similar, but obviously they just press their face into the wall and sort of continue with their movement animation rather than having a specific sort of going through animation. But the spiders don't actually do that anymore, which is really interesting. I suppose it's a thing, isn't it? The mini monsters are weird, aren't they? Do you think that's how they reproduce? Do you think that's how monsters reproduce? They right, okay, we haven't got enough people, we're going to kill someone, and then that's going to divide them into 3, but they'll be babies, but then eventually they'll grow up into be big monsters. Maybe big monsters. I've seen in a couple of videos, this one included. These are some really bloody big monsters. Right, with all of that said and done, I reckon that we are about done. Yep, I reckon we're finished. Right. That didn't go too badly, to be honest with you. Once I got a handle on dealing with the slugs, which is a lot of slugs, I think what you'd really want to do would be to push your way out into one corner like this and then just re-establish your base over here to move yourself further away from the slug holes. I think that would be a very sensible thing to do, because there aren't any other slug holes to deal with, so you might as well relocate yourself as far away from them as possible. It's not like Back to Basics where there are just slug holes all over the place, so you just have to kind of live with it. So yeah, I think that would be the sensible thing to do. I do like that this is sort of quite elevated position. You sort of look down on your domain from the top of your hill. That's kind of cute. Anyway, that's enough of all that, I reckon. I reckon we're about done. Oh, biblets. That was exhausting. Oh.
Your planning skills are very good in that confined space, and you've collected all 20 energy crystals. Outstanding. Mission
I
complete.
tried my best. Game time taken. Is that too... What? What are you grumbling about? Is that, I'm wondering, rather than just saying time taken, I wonder if that's saying in-game time taken, because obviously you can change the speed of the game, well, as you could in the base game. I presume you can still do that here, I don't actually know. I've never bothered to try, but, yeah. Presumably that's so if you were playing it at twice the speed, the timer would tick up twice as fast, so that you couldn't say, oh look, I speed ran the game in like an hour, because I put the speed to maximum. So presumably that's to sort of make it a little bit more robust, to stop you getting different times depending on what speed you're playing at. But anyway, we've still got waterworks to do, but we've all unlocked.
Split down the middle.
And
I spy.
indeed. That's a nice little thing, isn't it?
I
It looks
spy.
looks quite sort of Arctic.
I spy.
Yes, I know. With the sort of little fur collar that's got going on here, but sort of the little oxygen packs on the top and on the back and a little helmet look a little bit like a diving suit. Maybe that's another homage to, or homage in the first place even, to sort of little nod to the idea of there being an underwater biome. I don't know, I'm just rabbiting on about utter rubbish. But anyway, that was a very long video, but we saw quite a lot of interesting things, didn't we? We saw some ghosts, we saw some massive lava monsters, we saw an awful lot of eroding lava that went faster than I've ever seen lava go in my life. We saw lots of slugs, we saw lots of recharge seams, we saw lots of interesting things, and we talked at great length about the potential cut content. There might be more that I'm aware of. All my research just comes from. You shouldn't normally trust people who say that they've done research by just watching one YouTube video, but no, I'll there will be, unless I have completely forgotten, there should be a link to that video in the description if you'd like to watch somebody articulate the information much better than I did, much more clearly, and with nice pictures and demonstrations and things. But yes, that was interesting, and thank you to the person that put me onto that as well, because I wasn't aware that there was actual sort of proper formal cut content that anybody knew about. So that was all very interesting. But anyway, that was some more of that. I was thinking before I started this, sort of how much more we've got to do. That'll obviously be a video on its own. That'll be a video on its own. With how the Remastered Campaign is, I wouldn't be surprised if those two were videos on their own. So that's 4, and we've got like 5, 6. 7.5, which if we're doing them every 2 weeks as I'm supposed to be, if I'm being a good boy, is sort of another 4 months or so. So we're probably looking at the Remastered Campaign taking us into sort of late spring, early summer of 26. So there's that. Right. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this little collaboration video. It seems to be popular on YouTube now, between myself and Bib, who has been here to supply many purrs, many hairs, many farts, and not much else. But it's very cold at the minute, so having somebody here to warm my lap is not thoroughly unappreciated. But anyway, that's enough of that for one more day. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for joining me this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Look after each other, and good night.